Hello and welcome. I am Haley of Discourse of a Divine Diva, and today we are going to talk about making your own crescent moon wreath. This is part of my DIY Diva series, and I am very excited to hopefully introduce to you or show you how awesome Sola Wood Flowers are. They actually gifted me the flowers that I'm using in this tutorial, and I was super excited because I really wanted to try them out and I couldn't wait to make this and share it with you. All right, before we get started, I just want you to see what the final product will look like because I'm very proud of this. All right, so what will you need? Sola Wood Flowers, of course. They have lots of different types of flowers, different designs, different color combinations and kits for you to use. There are also natural wood grain flowers, and you can dye them yourself even. They also have a lot of different greenery and dried products that you can use in bouquets and whatever else you want to use them for. They're really, really awesome. Next, you will need a grapevine garland. I found this one online, and this video is also a complimentary thing to my blog post, so there are tons of links and even more photos and things in my blog post for you to check out. You will also need brown floral wire, a glue gun, wire cutters. Make sure they're kind of heavy duty because what we're using here requires some cutting. Bushes, leaves, and greenery of your choice. I went with a fall theme, but I didn't want traditional colors. I thought that the color combos of the wood flowers were really, really cool, and I wanted to challenge myself to make a sort of non-traditional, so not like orange and yellow, fall-themed moon. You'll also need decorative ribbon. I found this great bundle at the craft store. It had all kinds of different ribbon and it was perfect for what I was looking for. And I also used some jute ribbon for hanging a pendant. Speaking of, you can use a pendant or some other kind of macrame or a hanging gemstone or a wooden letter. The possibilities are endless. So find something you want to hang from the top of your moon. And next, you want all your fillers. I used pine cones. I got this great garland that had little pumpkins and little warm yellow leaves and some little sunflowers and things because I was hoping to use as much of it as possible. And I had some little bronze acorns. So find all your little filler things, have fun with it, and here we go. First you want to do is start unrolling your grapevine garland. It's a little difficult to work with, and I had to maneuver it around quite a bit. It sticks to itself. But find how big you want your crescent moon to be and cut your garland. Now, I ended up doing the two outer parts first and kind of playing around with the shape of it later, but you're going to cut another length. And then I wanted more surface area and structure to the moon, so I actually did a third length as well. Next, you're going to get your brown floral wire, and you're going to start to shape that moon. I would start by putting the two ends together and securing them, and then you will start to kind of shape and figure out the width of your moon. And when you've done so, go ahead and secure that other end with the wire. Now, I needed these grapevine pieces to be more sturdy, and I needed to be able to shape the moon as wide as I needed it to because this curled up grapevine really wants to curl into itself because it's been rolled up. So what I did was wrap brown wire around each length of the moon. So each section. Now, would this have been way easier if I did it before I secured the ends? Absolutely. And that's what I think you should do if you're making this. Wrap the wire around each length before you secure the ends. Learn from my mistake. Continue wrapping the wire around each length of the moon, and this will really help you be able to shape it and kind of move it and manipulate it in the way that you need to, so that you have the right size for your moon. It was a huge difference once I got the wire on. Now, my moon shape needed way more structure, and I really wanted more surface area in which to apply all of the different decorations that we're going to use. So I used the same brown wire, and I started to kind of weave it over and under in between these three segments of the moon. So wrap one end around and then just start weaving over, under, over, under. And I try to do it kind of even segments, but it doesn't have to be perfect. This is not something that's going to show through the front of the moon, but it will look pretty nice on the outside actually. And it gives it so much more structure and you can really manipulate the shape a little bit more. And I loved having the extra surface area. Next, you're going to trim both ends just to make sure they're nice and even and neat looking, especially if you had a little trouble like me kind of manipulating those pieces to begin with. I want you to start cutting the leaves off the bushes. I did 4 different bushes here in different colors, and I stuck with the purples and creams and burgundies. I wanted these ferns to add some texture and a little bit of that greenery pop in there. And I think because it's more of a frosted green that it looks really good with all of these other things that we have going on. Cut as many as you think you're going to need. You can always cut more later. I usually start at the bottom of the bush and work my way up. It just is better. Keep everything organized. That helps. I also went ahead and cut a lot of the wired elements from the garland at this point in time as well. I knew I was going to use the sort of leaf portion of the garland to add some warmth and really kind of complement the mustard yellow flowers. But I also went ahead and cut off some of the little berries and some of these sunflowers, which I ended up not using, and the little cream pumpkins because I wanted to keep the cream colors popping out as well. Now I'm going to have you go ahead and use the glue gun to secure all of the little wire ends. So make sure that you're hot gluing it on the actual ends so they stay secure and in place. And then you're going to start layering your leaves. I really like to lay everything out first before I start gluing things down, just to see how things look together, where the placement of things are going to be, if there's a pattern that I want to bring into this project. And I really wanted the cream leaves to be under the flowers because I wanted the flowers to pop. I wanted them to stand out. But I did want those complementary colors of purple and burgundy to be a good base for all of the colors that we're going to put on top. And they do look really good, kind of popping out there. So arrange all of your flowers how you want them. I tried to start with kind of the bigger flowers in the middle and work my way out to the smaller flowers, while also having the different colors mixed throughout. I changed things up a little bit, so it's not quite the same at the top and bottom of the moon. And I think I ended up adding extra flowers as I went because that's just how things got smushed and pushing it together. I had more room, so I was going to use more flowers. Lay everything out in a way that is appealing to you, but also be willing to change it up or add more or be flexible once you start putting things together. But I find it helpful to know the way in which you want to layer it and kind of work your way backwards from there as you go. Now, I wanted to make sure that there was kind of a pattern to the placement of some of them just so it would look really cohesive and somewhat symmetrical. I also wanted it to have that feeling of something natural, and I wanted the natural elements like the grapevine and the wood textures and that kind of thing to really, do what they do, which is look pretty. And nature isn't symmetrical. It's not perfect. It's not very specific. It does what it wants to do. So I let it curl up at the ends. I let things be kind of off center if that's how they want it to be. And I just let it speak to me as I worked on it and just have fun. Once your initial layer is down, start filling in the gaps with all of those other colors and textures and kind of make sure that they're evenly distributed to a point because you do want those different colors and textures and things to pop out and show here and there. You're kind of accessorizing the flowers, essentially. And you just keep going at it until you feel that you're done. What will that feel like? You will know. Just listen to your heart and pay attention with your eyes, and when it looks pleasing to you, that's probably when you should stop. When I started adding the wire elements, I really wanted to make sure that I was putting them in places where I could manipulate them as I added the flowers. So I really wanted to be able to bend them out and make them stick out and look a little, I don't know, whimsical, messy, add some movement when I added the flowers. So if you want to kind of lay those out again, lay your flowers out again, just move things around, see what works for you. It really does help in figuring out the placement of everything and how you want things to look. Ooh wee, now I get to add the flowers. I'm so excited. This was a really interesting color combination to me with some dark purples and burgundy, mustard yellow, navy, and this really unexpected kind of peachy pink color, which I think also helps add a little bit of that warmth and brightness that we're kind of bringing into the wreath with the cream colored leaves. These flowers are really interesting because some of them do have the wood grain look to them. They have all these different styles and colors, and the ones online were even different than the ones I received, which, I'm not mad about, but that is something to consider. There are tons of different styles of flowers and so many fun options, and I actually loved these flowers as soon as I got them. I went back to the website and bought 2 more packs of different color combinations because I'm super excited to use them in projects and even to make more of these moon wreaths. The flowers also have different textures. So the lighter color one, the mustard color one, they're very soft and almost spongy is not quite the right word. Almost like the sort of rubbery felt that you can get at the store. I forgot exactly what you call it, but it has that kind of texture. So it's soft and you can kind of move it around. The other ones have a harder texture, more like you would think when you hear wood, sort of bark-like, hard. They're not easily moved around. They all have a wider stem base on the bottom, so it's really easy to glue them down. They really have a sort of base for you to use and something that really comes in contact with whatever you're going to put it on. And I will also add, these flowers are made from tapioca plant root, which I thought was really interesting. And they just look so cool. At this point, make sure you are also moving those wire elements around as you add flowers. And then you can start filling in the spaces with all of your little bits and bobs that you've chosen. So I added some small cream pumpkins, some bronze acorns, little pine cones. I filled in all of the little gaps in between and around the flowers. Once everything is glued into place, we can start working on the ribbon portion. So lay out all your ribbons. These actually came in a pack that I got from Michael's that had all of these different kinds of ribbon remnants, and it was exactly what I was looking for. I was so excited that I didn't have to buy all of these different spools of ribbon. So these are really great. They had at least 6 color combinations in the store, and this was just perfect for my project. So once you get your ribbons all laid out and you figure out exactly what you want to do, I started with some of the wider ribbons as the base and looped them around the grapevine wreath. Sometimes you kind of have to work them under the leaves and secure them that way. But I started with those wider ribbons and I got them as tight as I could, and then I just kept adding on and adding on. I wanted lots of texture. I wanted the colors to be as evenly distributed as possible. And again, this bundle was really great because it did have all of these textures and these little pops of color and thin ribbon and fat ribbon, and it was so great. So just start looping. You're just going to loop and loop and loop as much as you can. And then once you get towards the end, you are going to have to tie some little knots at the end of some of the ribbons and hot glue them on. Make sure all your ribbon loops are tight. You can trim the ends of the ones that you knotted and glued on, and then use hot glue across the whole length of that back section to just make sure that the ribbon is secure and stays in place. You're just going to do like a line of hot glue across all of the ribbons. Now we're going to focus on the pendant section, and we have kind of rewound because I did this a little bit out of order and thought it would be better to tell you to do it in segments. So I used some of that brown floral wire to layer these two pendants. The macrame is supposed to be earrings, and of course the pendant section is ready for a necklace chain. Well, I needed to hang the ribbon back to front and not side to side. I used the brown floral wire to make a loop, essentially, that these pendant things will be hanging on so that I can hang the ribbon the correct way. Next, I doubled up 2 lengths of ribbon just because I wanted a thicker portion there, and secured them around the brown wire loop. And then I hot glued the wire to the ribbon. Next, I cut a small piece of the same ribbon and essentially looped it around the bottom to give it a sort of knotted and finished look. And I wanted to be able to kind of conceal that portion of the hot glued wire inside the ribbon, so it has a really nice finished look. Knot that ribbon around the top of your wreath, and then secure the knotted portion to the top back of the wreath with hot glue to keep it all in place. And once you're done with that, trim the ribbon so those parts aren't sticking out, and you are ready to go. You may need to manipulate that wire portion that the pendants are hanging from just to make sure that they're hanging in the direction that you want. You might need to just kind of tweak that a little bit. And here we are with the final finished moon wreath. I love all the textures and the colors and all of those little bits that move around. I love the pendant. I love the ribbon. I love how it all goes together. It's really, really beautiful. It does say fall to me. I love the color combination so much, and working with these wood flowers was so easy and so fun. So I hope that you go out and you make your own moon wreath, and if you do, I would love to know how it went for you. I would love to see your finished product. Thank you for checking out my tutorial, and have a great day.